Good morning, everyone. It is with immense pleasure and privilege that I welcome you all to the third edition of the National Media Conclave, a platform dedicated to exploring the dynamic landscape of media, communication, and evolving professional codes. I am honored to introduce our esteemed chairperson for today's online session, Mr. Sanjay Sengupta sir, HOD of Fine Arts and Design at Sister Nivedita University. I now invite our esteemed chairperson to offer a few words to our presenters.
So, welcome to this session of this Media Conclave organized by the School of Media Communication, Sister Nivedita University. The first speaker of this session is Dr. Shoma Bhaumik. Her topic is Impact of Social Media in the Field of Visual Art. So, time for each speaker is 10 minutes and 2 minutes for wrapping up. And the Q&A session we will keep for the last. Means once everyone, means all of you present your papers, then we will take a quick round of question and answer, right? So I invite Dr. Shoma Bhaumik to kindly present her paper.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, the Mass Communication Department, to invite me or include me in this wonderful session. So, and thank you, Sanjata, for chair this session and make me comfortable and confidence that I can do something or I'll talk something. Today I'll discuss or share my experience as a curator, how social media benefited me for executing new contemporary shows. So there's not enough theory of this, but as a curator, whatever I experienced throughout one decade and how media helped me to do all these things. So the impact of social media on the field of visual art, this is my topic. Before entered to the main focus of the area, শোনা যাচ্ছে? I just very briefly want to highlight the background of our history of the artist, studio visit by organizer, art historians, and collectors. We also see how modern artists or classical art documented their studio. Now the question is why the studios of the artist are important in today's topic. You may know the role of the curator in contemporary art practice is very important now. In 1970, the term curator introduced in London and in 1988 in India. But unfortunately, the term curator is still very vague in our country, especially in this city, that people are confused between the curator and the organizer. So if I say briefly about a curator, the curator is the bridge between the artist and the viewers or art lovers. That is the main brief thing. Then it is conceptualized by the artist, by the curator, how they initiate the shows. The other thing, there is a lot of technical and practical thing included in curatorial exhibition in the time of when the contemporary art all like break all the boundaries of unconventional medium, we are more into contextual things. So the role of the curator become more important. So I will emphasize on the two major role of social media in the perspective of a curator: discovering new artists and executing shows. There are two type of curators. Not curators, there are two type of practicing the curatorial process. One is some curator are already decided artists, then decide the content. And some curator is decide the content, then searching artist. So I'm into that. I'm more interested to discover new faces. And executing shows, because the contemporary field introduced lot of materials, so the shows become the conceptualizing the show is become more challenging nowadays, especially when the Biennale introduced long back in Venice, but now in India also there are a lot of this kind of art festival is happening. So the role of the curator getting more and more important. So discovering new artists, which helped me to visit studio and museum, and executing shows helped me to innovative display strategy. The studios of artists before the event of arrival of social media or the period of transition of social media. এই লাইটটা কি অফ করা যাবে? আমি না কিছুই দেখতে পাচ্ছি না। So as I said, I also wanted to show how the classical artists are documented their studio practice. We are fortunate, we like this studio practice introduced in Europe. So I started my presentation with the image of Michelangelo's studio. That time there was no camera, of course. This is the two examples. There are many examples, but I'm just choosing these two. And then in India, Tagore is very important. I don't know how many of you like this or consider this as a painting if I remove the Tagore's picture. Still, it's a question for me that if he was not a Rabindranath Tagore, we are considering him as an artist or not. This is my personal view. So then, slightly I chronologically showing this studio before the social media introduced. That Picasso, we all know Picasso studio. I don't know why Picasso never wear shirt or t-shirt in their studio. When I went to his Barcelona house, but there is also no suggestion of any every studio picture he is not wearing any t-shirt. Though Spain is always like, not like India that we are like learning always in a hot weather. And then Giacometti, the another sculptor, and the sculpture studio is, you can get the idea, the art historians can't decide or can't justify through the pictures. They should interact with the, go to the studio, especially to the sculptors, because it's a three-dimensional thing. The picture can't justify the ability of the work. Then Modigliani, I'm showing this picture because many of us know Picasso and Picasso lover, but many of us, we don't know also. The Picasso is a great friend of Modigliani, and Modigliani, Picasso always said, if Modigliani is alive, I don't be a Picasso. He died very early. So we have to know, we appreciate Picasso, and Picasso appreciate Modigliani. Then Dali, who is a celebrity, who always, not like Picasso. Picasso also another kind of celebrity. He's another kind of celebrity with coat and suited, booted like a corporate officer. Then Vinod Bihari Mukherjee, he was the first blind artist in India. At the age of 50, he lost his eyesight, and that time he was doing collage. And the right side painting of his, that time he was able to see that. And you can see also Satyajit Ray. Satyajit Ray documented the thing for his film In Our Eye. And then I deliberately put the image of sculptors to understand the studio, how studio was rolling before the media introduced the media. Then Amrita Shergill, I think Hussein. And you can see Hussein flirting with Madhuri Dixit. Yes, it's true. He was a great, like artists are like that. We can't help it. So then Sharburi Rai Chaudhary, another important sculptor in India. His Ganesh Haloi is, as I said in the caption, that some artists are before social media, doing work before introducing the social media, and some are in the transition period in both, like social media also and social media, and also now they are alive. So we got the opportunity to see their work in internet or Facebook or Instagram. Ravinder Reddy is another important artist. He is a sculptor. He do lot of large sculptures. So his studio, obviously, his studio is not in a white cube. So this most of the sculptors who are doing larger than life-size work, they have open studios. And for the art historian and curators, they have to visit their studio, otherwise they won't able to understand what actually it's, what vibe actually it gives. Then Shubodh Gupta. I'm ending this session. This Shubodh Gupta, Ganesh Haloi, and Ravinder Reddy, they are in the transition period that when they are in the initial stage. There is no suggestion of social media, even very few photographs also studio for the studio practice. And then the studio of artists after the emergence of social media. So it's just a quote. Like I practice, or my curatorial practice is more into social media, nowadays searching through social media or, okay, I'll just quickly finish it. So I get the idea that what is happening around the world, the Tate Museum, Victoria Albert Museum, and Kiran Nadar Museum, and also the artists doing work in their studio or galleries. So before going to any country, I always look and found that where the local studios and the young generation, what they are doing. That time also the social media, of course, helped me a lot. So I'm just, especially in the lockdown, the museum, the virtual tour of the museum and galleries become more important. If we go to the traditional or ancient shows or display, it is difficult to do or see all the detailed thing. But because of the virtual tool emerged in the during the COVID period, we get to see the details of the like artworks like this internationally. Just this all are like online shows, and in the so it is difficult. It has its own challenge that we are showing the works like this in the COVID period. But at least we have something that we are doing through social media. So online communication, when the COVID period helped me a lot. I was through the Facebook. I took interview of almost 72 artists, young and middle age. I never worked with the seniors, so I know these people from very long. But when they are discussing their journey and looking like explaining their work, that helped me a lot to to understand the journey of each individual artist, and also it's helped me to look into art in a very detailed way. Post-COVID shows, during the COVID period, whatever I researched, whatever interview I took, and whatever I have done, that is reflected in my next shows when the physical shows is coming up after COVID. This is one of my shows, Entities Define Us. And all artists are, I was searching through internet only, or Instagram. This is my last show, this one. This is one of our faculty, Moinak is here. His work that is my last show in Ganges Art Gallery. So career boost is, of course, social media can be a huge boost to an artist's career, allowing them to own their success and build their own business opportunity. But again, I'm saying that social media has a two-part, like everything, good and bad, that it is completely depend on us, that we open the Instagram account and we like the profile picture, or we like the galleries, like follow the galleries internationally. So it's, I don't want to go into negative way that many people say that in social media things are copied rapidly. But in this situation, in this generation, or like last 30 years, everything has happened. Even Rabindranath Tagore is very much, because he is a Tagore and he is a god like us for Bengalis. So we said that he was influenced from German expressionism. But if the same thing doing some young artist, will say, oh, chepe diyeche. So it is very common and ancient thing. So social media, for me as a curator, help a lot to discovering new images, new artists, and get the knowledge of what is happening all around the world. Display is the important thing for a curator. So because of unconventional medium, I saw different galleries display videos, reels, and that helped me to execute new media shows in the like in my own curated projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bhomik. Our next speaker is Saurabh Mukherjee. He will be presenting on immersive advertising, exploring the role of AR/VR in brand communication in India.
Sir, just 2 minutes will change the system.
Sure. After Mr. Mukherjee, we have Dr. Gupta. She will be delivering on digital media and the future of vernacular language, Kolkata-based analytical studies. So, Mr. Mukherjee, you will be having 10 minutes to present, 2 minutes to wrap up.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Taking the cue from Shoma Adi's presentation, she talked about social media and the immersive experience of art. Taking the cue exactly from that, AR VR is the next big thing in terms of media, in terms of advertisement, in terms of art, and in terms of overall visual communication. My paper, Immersive Advertising, Exploring the Role of AR VR in Brand Communication, mostly focuses on the area of AR VR communication in advertisement, though it's a part of a larger research about the whole idea of AR VR and how immersive experiences are the next big thing. Just like AI, AR VR is something that we'll be exploring in this research. So there are 4 parts of this research. Firstly, how it is shaping the global advertisement with interactive consumer experiences. We can understand after COVID, this whole idea of working from home, staying at home, seeing galleries from home, the whole idea that the world can be accessed through our homes was made possible through augmented reality and virtual reality. And India, though we are technically a little behind still now, but it's a growing digital landscape and we are offering vast major potentials in AR, VR in marketing. Thirdly, though AR, VR has a high cost involved in this thing, it is still enhancing big brand communications. As we know, 91, post-globalization, the foreign brands are now completely in play in India. So they are exploring a lot of AR, VR activities that we'll be discussing in this research. And the last is how AR, VR is having a great impact in the advertising through, we have taken 3 case studies here, we'll be discussing that. Now, just to give you a brief about what are the 3 areas. So I talked about AR, VR, and there is obviously another domain that is mixed reality or MR. Now, AR is something that is augmented reality, it overlays digital content in the real world. So we all have seen, we have used Lenskart, we have used IKEA in our day-to-day experiences, where we can put any object and we can have, just like this painting over here, without having the painting itself, we can project this in the walls and we can see how does it look in a wall, or how does any object looks in a real life. So that is AR. Whereas VR gives you an entire immersive experience of a fully virtual world. So let's say from gaming to the art world, you can now actually get inside Van Gogh's Starry Night. You can actually experience the whole brush strokes and everything through VR. And mixed reality is something that we are still working on, the industry is working on. It's a combination of both virtual and real life objects. Now, talking about the user experiences, AR enhances the real world experiences by adding value composition. So let's say I want to see the crown of Queen Elizabeth, but I do not have that. Once I have the projection of it, we can present it over here and we can see each and every detail, body and wherever the lungs and kidneys, everything through augmented reality explore. Whereas VR transports the user into a completely different world. Nowadays, 3 days actually, I'm lucky that 3 days back, Facebook or now Meta launched their new VR glasses. Now, with that, immediately you are in this boardroom, but you are bored with my presentation. Now you can immediately go to Niagara Falls and just enjoy that view. So that's something VR can help you out with. Now, and MR is something, if I look into the pictures, you can see augmented reality is something that if you want to place any object, you can do through mobile, and the mobile cameras will scan that through a 3D mapping technology, and it will scan the environment and give you the feel of that object. Whereas virtual reality gives you an entire experience. So with the VR glasses on, you can explore major galleries like MoMA, and you can go to Louvre and see the entire take an entire tour of the gallery. You can get an entire tour of any and every place that has a VR connection. Now, and mixed reality is something that the industry is working on, where in the real life scenario, you can have a virtual experience. So that is mixed reality. Now, coming to my research, I had 4 major objectives. One is to trace the development of AR, VR in global and Indian advertising market. Second is to explore how AR, VR enhances the consumer experience and engagement. Thirdly, enhancing and analyzing the competitive advantage of AR, VR. And lastly, highlighting the operational challenges that it has. Now, in this research, we have taken a mixed methodology, obviously, because the entire thing cannot be quantitative. We have taken a quantitative and qualitative both approach through interviews and through data collection. And also case studies from IKEA and Lenskart and Titan, where we can see how these brands, when they are operating in India, they are kind of having AR and VR to enhance their marketing and branding strategies. Now, the key findings that we got from the research, we have nearly about 272 respondents. We got that 68% of the professionals believe that AR, VR has made the interaction more engaging. Now, just to give you an idea, when Lenskart started their 3D face mapping, immediately their sales kind of boosted approx 30%. So now, this data itself shows that a lot of us do not have the time to go to the showroom and check out for each of the glasses, and how does that fit in your face. So let's say I am really liking something, maybe a glass or maybe a sunglass, but how does it fit on my face? AR will be giving you that answer. You can yourself check that with that object. Similarly, a furniture you really like, and IKEA is giving you through AR mapping, it is giving you the exact corner of the house that you want to place that furniture, and they will measure the whole thing, and they will tell you that, okay, this will fit and this will go with the wall color as well. Now, the another key finding that I have received, that 75% of the respondent reported that they have a higher engagement with AR VR based advertising. So nowadays, with hologram projection and virtual reality, we are taking the advertisement to the next level. We are, every brand is coming, kind of giving you an opportunity to look inside everything. So let's say now you can actually choose through VR that you want to look this side of the camera or this side of the camera. Even Victoria Memorial Hall, they in their website, they have a virtual tour of the entire gallery of Victoria. So you can actually decide which wall you want to see, which part of the drawing you want to see. You can enhance that. Now, what are the key opportunities in AR VR? The first one is enhanced customer engagement. So everything now this is a fun thing that has been said in the industry, that the spelling of God is ROI, return on investment. It's not GOD. The more engaging experience that you have, it will enhance your customer engagement. And the more engagement you will have, the more ROI you can actually secure. Second is the Yeah, sure. Second is the innovative campaigns that we are seeing in AR, VR. And last is a data-driven insight. So data-driven insight is something that you can actually get a data of how the person is reacting. Nowadays, even hyper-local marketings, when they are not working, people are working on neural marketing. So how your pupils are reacting. You can lie, but your brain cannot. So with neural marketing and data-driven insights, AR, VR are getting exactly what the customer wants. Now, the challenges to the adoption, though the data shows that 42% in 2014 and nearly about 773 million users are using by 2029. In India, the three major barriers are cost. Obviously, AR has a lot of initial cost to it, so we cannot implement that in certain areas. Second is the limited infrastructure. In India, there are places where there is not even internet. So in those remote places, taking AR and VR and having education through that, it's a challenge. And obviously, coming to the strategic recommendation that I can give through this paper, that technological infrastructure, if we can work on those through Make in India project. So the way Nintendo has done that, Oculus has a major cost. Google device Oculus has a major cost, but Nintendo did that with a cardboard. So it reduced down the cost. The way, if we can do something in India and implement AR, VR, that can actually help. And also consumer education through that. If we can give people a virtual tour, that will reduce down the cost. And also in terms of environment and sustainability, just imagine we are wasting so much of material in terms of the fashion industry, giving the tour of the fabric and everything, but just to give you the use. But if we project through AR and VR and give you the same kind of immersive experience, that will reduce down the cost firstly, and secondly, it will keep our world more sustainable and better future. And lastly, with a collaborative growth, we can think of AR, VR as the next future of advertising, and we can have a major impact on that. So that about my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee. Our next speaker is Ms. Jhumur Dattagupta. Her topic is Digital Media and the Future of Vernacular Language, a Kolkata-based analytical studies.
Good afternoon, all. Good afternoon, all. I am Jhumur Dattagupta, Assistant Professor of Journalism and Mass Communication Department of Sister Nivedita University. Today, I am going to present my paper. My paper's title is Digital Media and Future of Indian Vernacular Language, a study based on Kolkata. First, in introduction portion, I just want to mention that Digital India is basically a flagship program of Modi government, to be very precise, or maybe the India government. So they want to convert our society into a knowledge economy. And as per the IBEF survey report, India is the world's largest telecommunication market as per the subscriptions and as well as the having the digital device, the consumptions and having the digital divide. The second thing that what I would like to mention that the internet use, that when the digital revolution it was started in India initially, on an average the adult Indian they are using 15 minutes to 1 hour in internet in every day, but after the digital revolutions, what happened in 2020 report, it is saying that all adult Indians, more or less, approximately, they are spending 3 hours to 45 minutes daily on internet. And we all know that 24% of world population represents the Generation Z. As per 2023, their age is between 11 to 26. Why I am actually mentioning it? Because in my title, I have mentioned the future. So I just want to consider that the future generation as my Generation Z, their age is between 11 to 26 as per 2023 age bar. And they are not only consuming the data in the internet or from the digital media, they are also the content creator, they are contributing, they are processing, and they are making solution on digital platform. And we all know that, as in my title I have mentioned the future of the Indian vernacular language, though we all know that India is a multilingual and multicultural state. But in India, officially, we are running our education system, we are running the 3-language formula, where the English is often taught as a second or the third language, and only 17% of the Indian students, they are from the English medium background. And from business to Bollywood, India is a country filled with culture, history, and as well as it is all about our local and as well as the Hindi-based language. One survey report, it is actually indicating that 70% of the Indians tend to rely on the digital content in local language, and 88% of the Indian language internet user, they are responding to a digital advertisement which are actually made in local language. And in case of the video consumptions, we all know that when we are consuming any data, the video is playing a very important role. And in case of the video consumptions, the people, they are like to, the 90% user, they are like the video in their local language, or they are consuming that particular things. And and as well as the background that why I was interested to do my studies or write my paper on these particular things, because you know that Google, they have also realized this particular trend, what is going on. So Google and the X handle, they invested near about $10 billion in India for next 5 to 7 years, and they are just only focusing on the Indian language and improve the digital service and product to like deliver to cater their target audience. And as well as the Google India, they are going to, they have already a new AI powered, the name of this AI power is MURIL, to improve the web service in 16 Indian language. And as well as in Google Map, they are also giving more focus on local language. But these are the very positive, and these are the very positive outcome where we can get that idea that, okay, the local language or the Indian vernacular language, they are doing very good things, and it's a huge prospect of Indian vernacular language. But there is another conflicting thing is also there, that as per the UNESCO report, it has been observed that there are close to 780 languages in India, out of which 600 are potentially endangered. And according to 1991 to 2001 census, more than 122 Indian vernacular language called to be endangered. And we all know that as per the 1971 census, the India government stated that any indigenous or the local language or the hyper-local language, if it is spoken by less than 10,000 people, that would be no longer considered as the least of the official language of India. And that's why in India, though we are saying that India is a multilingual country, only the 22 language it is considered as the official language of India. And at least 400 Indian language, it is now at risk of dying in 50 years. And according to the People's Linguistic Survey of India, each time a language, when the language is dying, the corresponding culture and the social binary, it is also killed. And in India, we had already lost 250 language in last 5 decades. The literature review, before going to my survey, I did some literature review. As per this literature review, it is actually saying that many multinational company and as well as the prominent companies like the Tata, they have also promoted the local language and as well as the language, local language and as well as the vernacular language in their branding. Like I would like to mention about that in 2016 in Rio Olympic, the Tata Salt, they have launched one branding. The name of that particular coinage was Namak Ke Vaste, which actually built the pride and awareness to respect our athletes. And as well as in 2019 survey, the YouTube was also realized that the future of and as well as the potential of the Indian vernacular language. So they says it's representative to found nearly 93% of the platforms viewer prefer local language content, and as well as the YouTube says that there has been a rise in a number of the creators in different languages. The countries like India, the literature review, what I did actually from that, I got this data that the countries like India, countries like Japan, China and Germany, they are giving more trust on Unicode standard, and India government also have taken that initiative, but there is one conflict in this particular idea that India government have actually improved its Unicode system, but the Unicode system, it is more focused on the Hindi, Devnagari, the prominent local language. It's like Devnagari, Bengali, Tamil, and as well as a little bit of the South Indian and Maharashtrian language. But we are not getting a proper Unicode system in a very local and very regional languages, the languages which are not listed in their mother language, but the other remaining person, they said they are preferring to watch their digital content in English or in English, not in their mother tongue. But in case of the third and fourth questions, in case of the political issues, and when I asked them about the medical issues, where the 46% of the said that they dependent on the mother tongue when they are want to consume any political content, and the 70% said that in case of the medical issues, or in case when they are actually want to retrieve any information regarding any medical issues, so depend on their mother tongue. And the fourth question, the 82% of my respondents mentioned that they are following the social media influencer who are making their content in their mother tongue, maybe in their near very local or the hyper local content what they are making, so they are following that those social media influencers. Yes, ma'am. So, and the 87% say they have learned new words in their mother language, mother tongue from the digital media, where the 93% said they come to know more about the regional culture from the digital media. So my observation is it's a mixed response about the digital media for their survival of vernacular language. Mostly for the entertainment, or in case of the in general information, still the consumer, they are dependent on the local language or the vernacular language. But in case of the economic point of view, or when they are selecting any brand, they are dependent on English still now. So we need, and as well as the limitations that I have taken, only the 100 responses are very small populations, and go to the response most from the Bengali speaking people, and reflection of the other language except Bengali, it's not reflected in my studies. And the last one, the recommendations that work on the hyper-local culture and the local language other than the 22 official language and its digital reflection would be a very good research topic for if anyone want to pursue or continue with this topic. Thank you, sir.
Our next presenter is Ms. Dipanita Nath. Her topic is exploring music, color and culinary expression. Use of music, color and culinary expression in Shoukorjo Ghoshal's Rainbow Jelly. And our next presenter is Dr. Sujata Mukhopadhyay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My paper, it's called Hues of Healing, Exploring Music, Color, and Culinary Expression in Shoukorjo Ghoshal's Rainbow Jelly, a much acclaimed film which was released in the year 2018. Colors and vivid shades of colors, they abound Shokorjo's film. And as we will see in this particular presentation, the aspects or elements of music, color, and art are vividly used, and they are used as elements or elemental tools of healing and transformative journey for the protagonist and several other characters who are present here. Now, as I begin with the presentation, the plot is more or less quite simple. It's a food fantasy film, probably one of the firsts that was made in Bengal. And some of the main characters over here are Ghoton, who is played by Mahabroto Basu, a student, an erstwhile a student of Patho Bhavan in Kolkata. And he is a boy who has autism spectrum disorder, and a real life character was taken, and he played out the character pretty well. Apart from Ghoton, we have the character of Poripishi, which is the fairy godmother, played by Srilekha Mitro. And then there was his infamous uncle, maternal uncle, played by Kaushik Sen. And yes, his character's name was called Gondaria. And as we see, as the film progresses, we see that why Gondaria was called Gondaria has got a very interesting element to it. One day, we see one of the characters in the film, Onadida. He tells Ghoton as to why must he call his mama or his uncle by that name, to which he says that it's because he probably has no shame, no feeling of shame, no conscience, and that is why he has Gondarer Moton Chamra, as we say in Bengali, hence the name. Now, as the movie begins, we see the title song. We see the animations that are here. I have put up a few pictures from the film itself. Now, all these are created by the director himself, Shokorjo, who himself is a student, used to be a student of animation. And he takes his inspiration from none other than Satyajit Ray, and also one of the contemporary cartoonists, Debashish Deb, and several others. And the choice of words that he uses in the songs, as we will see as the presentation progresses, they're also quite interesting. Rainbow jelly bhashte thak khali makkali, as we see in Bengali. Now, animation, as we see in the film, it bridges the reality and magical realism. We will see plenty of elements of magical realism as we progress. And all of it, it shows the journey and the emotional evolution of Ghoton's character. Now we go into the characters and the plethora of emotions that they expose or exhibit in the film. At first, we will go to the character of Gondaria, who is Ghoton's mama. He is seen to be an extremely abusive person by nature. He abuses Ghoton not only mentally, but also physically. And he's a miser, as we see, a very miserly person who lives off all the property that was left by his dead sister and her husband. And after that, we have the very warm and quirky Poripishi. Poripishi is a magical character that Ghoton meets with as the film progresses. And then we have the very sweet and adorable character of Poppins, who exudes a lot of innocence and brings in a breath of fresh air in the film. And we must not forget that the presence of the very kind-hearted Onadida, played by the very famous Shantilal Mukherjee, who becomes a helping hand and a friend in need, a friend indeed for Ghoton. Now we go into the color theory and emotional transformation. The color palette, it gradually changes as the film progresses. How so? The film begins on a very dreamy, gray, dark note, where we see everything is very dingy, very gloomy. It creates an illusion or the atmosphere of very dull, poignant atmosphere. And over here we see Ghoton, a person who is extremely low on self-confidence, go on and about with his life, abused, not able to face the world, not able to stand up for himself. And as the film progresses towards the end, I have put a picture from a screenshot from one of the ending frames of the film, where he's seen painting the pictures, a sketch of his dead mother, and hugging it. And we see as the film progresses, so does the colors, the bright colors, they emerge and they appear in Ghoton's lives. The vibrant explosion of bright colors fills his life, paintings, and the canvas of life with energy. Now we will go to the culinary art, which acts as an emotional expression in the film. Now, as the film itself talks about food fantasy, and we see in the scene that with changing taste, Poripishi, as she comes to the life of Ghoton, she tells him very mysteriously that she will gift him with a particular phrase, which goes, Shurjer Shatrong, 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 and uttering this phrase or mantra will give him a lot of energy in life. And Poripishi's, we can see a particular picture or a casket or a box over here, which is again a subtle reference to the very famous Bengali author Leela Mojumdar, who Shoukarjo Ghoshal has referred to. Leela Mojumdar, she had written long back, she had written Podipishir Bormi Baksho, which is put in the film or used in the film as Poripishi's wizard box. Now, what does the box contain? It contains 7 types of spices, and which gives out the flavors of 7 tastes, which are sweet, sour, salty, spicy, pungent, astringent, and bitter. And they are all expressed with the help of the 7 colors that we find in a rainbow. Now, according to the color theory, we see the director has also engaged or incorporated the taste theory. Now, how does the taste of a food change or uplifts a person's mood or mind scientifically? That is exactly what has been shown as an experimental aspect in the film itself, where Poripishi takes the place of Ghoton as the cook of the family, prepares different kind of dishes with different kind of flavors for 7 days altogether. And we see throughout the film, Kaushik Sen or Gondaria's character, he changes from an abusive person to someone who is extremely repentant of his old deeds and actions. In the picture, we see a robot. Now, this particular robot, this was a creation or invention of Ghoton's late father, who we don't see in the film. Until the very end, we get to read a letter. And this was a taste recorder. That was one of the very first attempts. And it could only open with the password, which says 7 colors of the sun, 7 colors, 7 colors. Now we come to music and how the choice of the lyrics and the peppy tones affects the entire mood of the film. The arrangements have been done by Nobarun Bosh, a very promising musician, a composer of our present times. The songs have been sung by Shahana Bajpayee, Moushumi Bhaumik, Rashmita Paul, and several others. The entire audio tracks, or the album, it starts with Rainbow Jelly title track, changes to Poripishi, Rupkotha, Koshto Tumi, Ei Chele, and Tumi To Achoi. Now, I would just like to take the first line from each of these songs. The first one, Bhabo to rotation na hole ki hoto, Prithibir kono khan shararat jiroto. The next one, Poripishi, Lal Nil Holuder Elomelo Shishi. And then the next one, Rupkotha Jodi Shunto Kotha, Lokhi Cheler Moton, Niyom Bhenge Thik Routine Jholmol Eto Pori, যেই ছেলেটা গল্প করে এখন মনে মনে ভাবতো যদি রূপকথাটাই গল্প না তো পড়ি. And then we move on to 2 more minutes. Yeah, I'll just wrap up now. it's followed by, now after all these peppy songs get over with, we find Koshto Tumi and Ei Chele, which are sung by Moushumi Bhaumik, and they bring out the very somber, poignant tone of the entire film, where Ghoton's character is seen to go through a massive, massive heartbreak. The movie ends on a very hopeful note with Prashmita Paul singing Tumi To Achoi. At last, but not the least, I would like to talk about how the presence of a child actor becomes extremely important and plays a pivotal role in Shaukarjo Ghoshal's most of the films, and particularly Rainbow Jelly. Ghoton, although he suffers from a particular disorder, he is never portrayed as a victim. Rather, he is portrayed as a very normal human being. In fact, he's shown as someone who likes to be in his own world, delving into music, delving into friendships, making new connections, drawing, painting, making crafts, and being really happy about it. And this particular film, it talks about the broader themes where art has immense power to heal and empower marginalized or neurodivergent characters, and how it actually creates an environment of therapy for any individual per se. I particularly took a dialogue from the film where Ghoton is seen to be saying, very funnily, "It is that Q in the IQ that I lack, so I need a different school. Not the kind of school everyone goes to. The very different ones. Special like me, they study in those special schools. But Gondaria called me bloody prince, and that a prince doesn't go to school." It's because it's a reference to how Kripon or miser his mama was, that he made him drop out of the school. We come to the penultimate slide of my presentation. I love how Shahana Bajpayee renders this particular lines. "Shei cheleta mon akashe urlo ki bishal, dekhiye dilo shopno dekhar mapjok rakhte nei." So Ghoton is, in the end, he's seen to fly. He breaks from his shackles. He embraces new friendships. He embraces a new life. And he believes in the power of education. And he wants to educate himself further with the help of a few good friends. And like Poripeshi, Poppins, and in the previous slide, we see the character of Kabuli, and of course, Onadida. So from the bloody little prince, Ghoton goes on to become the happy prince, which is again a reference taken from a very famous novel, French novel. And in the end, we see that the entire film ends with a statement that not all fairy tales are unreal. Some of them, they can come real. So that's all for my presentation today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And Gondaria also has a reference to Daku Gondaria of Sonar Kella.
Yes.
Sonar Kella, Joy Baba Filmnath. I suppose Joy Baba Filmnath. Joy Baba Filmnath, yes. Next presenter, Dr. Sujata Mukhopadhyay. Her topic is emoticons, new cultural spaces in negotiating the trajectories of virtual communication. And after Dr. Mukhopadhyay, we have Moinak Chakraborty and Bharata Sarkar. Their topic is cross-cultural influences, artistic and design elements in the Poreshnath Temple, Kolkata.
Thank you. I express my gratitude to the chair of this session and to all of you who are present here today. The topic that I'm going to present here today is emoticons, new cultural spaces in negotiating the trajectories of virtual communication. Two words are very important in my research work. One is the cultural space, and second is the trajectories of virtual communication. Now, if I were to speak in a gist of what my paper is really about, I have tried to see the evolution of the emoticons in present society and how they have evolved cross-culturally. So basically, my research method includes sample survey, a content analysis of emojis, and a literature review of what has already been found regarding emoticons, how it creates a special place in the communication spectrum, and how emojicons are interpreted in different manners in different cultures. So as you can see, emojicons are picture characters, and here I have two types of emoticons that I have talked about. One is the humanoid emoticon, having human faces, and the other is the other type of emoticon, which is digital. Now, when I started doing my research paper, I came across several books which I have used as the literature review. And what I had found from those literature review, I based that on my research paper, from where I had drawn my own findings and conclusions. One thing that I must mention here is that whatever has been found in the literature reviews that I had made, my sample survey and content analysis gives a different picture as far as the Indian process of communication using emoticons is concerned. So what I had found in the previous literatures, that's what I'm going to discuss. Then I'm going to go into what I found in my content analysis, and then move on to the sample survey that I had made. So what I had found from my literature review is that WhatsApp emoticons help to bridge the cultural gap. So when we first started using WhatsApp, we only had one kind of emoticon, which was the white figure in the extreme left. As time went by and we thought of the idea of inclusivity, we started having the different shades of faces representing the different color tones and skin intonations of different people. So initially when we used to do WhatsApp, if I am a brown colored girl, I always used to send emoticons that had a white face because there were no color involved. Now with the concept of inclusivity taking the world by storm, we have different shades of emoticons. So this is what I found in my literature review. The second is that the color intonations that are used in these emoticons actually represent a sense of inclusivity. So now we are talking about the global village, we are talking about hybridity. So in that phase, we are also talking about an inclusive society, and emoticons, when used with texts, foster inclusivity. Third, what I found from my literature review is that emoticons are like visual cues. So if I'm using an emoticon just by itself, it renders some kind of meaning to the receiver who is at the other end of the communication spectrum. The fourth conclusion which I made from the literature review is that there are cultural differences as far as the dissemination of emoticons are concerned, and there are divides in emoji literacy and usage across generations of people and digital access. So the manner in which I can access digitally also defines how I interpret my emoticons. I'm now coming to the objectives of my research. Based on the literature review about which I spoke earlier, my objectives of the research were to find out the attributes of emojis in today's computer-mediated interpersonal communication. So when we are WhatsApping with our friends, what is the kind of emoji and what are the attributes of the emojis that I'm sending with my friends or with my colleagues or with my students? That is the first part which I've tried to identify. The second is to understand individual diversity in the interpretation of emojis, whether it can lead to an ambiguity. Now, why I had this second objective is because most of the communication theorists earlier spoke about the media richness theory. And in the media richness theory, they said that when a text is used to communicate from the sender to the receiver using emojicons, pictures, GIFs, etc., along with text, that creates richer meaning, richer interpretation. But that will be changed when I have done my survey. When I show my survey results, it will be a changed concept because that is not what I found. Now, the research methods that I have undertaken mostly deal with primary data, which have interviews and survey. The secondary data are journals and books, and the content analysis of the emoticons, which I will show you later. And the survey mostly consisted of closed and both open-ended questions to understand what is the level of interpretation of emojis by both the sender and the receiver. Now, when I did the content analysis of the emojis, I took the reference of Emojipedia. As you know, Emojipedia is a website which has different types of emoticons and how they are interpreted. It is written there. So I took the help of Emojipedia, and from there I found that there is something which is called the Unicode, which has the ability to create mixed skin tone. Now, this is actually related to the theory of cultural imperialism by Tomlinson in communication, which says that people of the West, the enlightened, the so-called enlightened people of the West, always want to use the white people's face, the white man's face, and so it was used earlier in all types of communication processes. So we used to have a white hand shaking and a white face. Everything was based on the white man's perception of skin tone. But nowadays, when I examined the different emoticons, I have found that Unicode, in order to foster this inclusivity, has had 5 types of skin modifiers, where we have light skin tone to the darkest skin tone. So my content analysis of the first emoji, or the the line of emoticons, have shown that there are different skin modifiers which are now used in different emoticons. The second is the use of multi-gender representation in emojis. So first, in the initial stages when we used to send WhatsApp, we did not have much faces of women or different genders. Now we have different gender representation in emojis, where if we want to communicate, like I being a woman, if I want to communicate something with my friend, I can use the emoji of a woman, which I did not have access to earlier. I had to use the emoji of a man. So Unicode 9 in 2016 brought about a multi-gender representation of the emojis, which was followed by Unicode 13 in the year 2020, which now has introduced zero width join, ZWJ, which is also inclusive of non-binary people, that is, people of different other gender perceptions and sexual orientations. My content analysis of the different emojis also shows that emojis are used in different ways in different cultures. For example, we people who belong to the Eastern culture, when we want to show that we want to go and have food with our friends, we usually send them an emoticon of a rice bowl or tea or something like that. But when that goes to the Western cultural backgrounds, they usually show pictures of bacon, steak, grilled meat, etc. So that shows the cultural differences in the interpretation of emojis, what they use, what we use. The second is the emotional sense of belonging. Let's say today, when I came here for the seminar, I invited my colleague, and after that we said we can go and have some tea. So when I said that we can go and have some tea, it did not only mean that I just want to have a cup of tea with her. It also meant togetherness. It also means adda. It also means coming up with, different other questions and everything pertaining to the college. So it is a friendly chat, more of a friendly chat when we send the emoticon of a cup of tea. But in the Western society, when they send a cup of tea, it is just meant generally as a normal meeting between people. They have something to discuss, and then they disperse. So the understanding and interpretations of emojis in the Eastern as well as in the Western cultures are different, the way they interpret it. Thirdly, what I found is there are certain policies, there are certain emotions we attach to emojis, like you must have seen a monkey putting the hand on the face. Now, this is part of Gandhiji's see no bad, hear no bad, say no bad. But when we use it, we have that emotional connection. But when the Western people see that emoji or they see that emoticon, it is just a monkey for them putting a hand on their faces. So that emotional connect is not there. Now, in the cross-cultural analysis of emojis, I've seen that meat-related emojis are mostly present in Western societies because they associate Christmas with, Thanksgiving and Christmas with get-togethers, they use the emoticons of grilled meat or meat in any other forms. So these are the emoticons which I have shown you here, which shows that togetherness for them during Christmas or during Thanksgiving means pictures of meat-related emojis. However, okay, so these are okay, but I'll just move on to the next slide. I've done the sample survey. This is the most interesting part where I have, diverted from the original literature review. I asked in my survey question, what can this winking emoji in the text conversation between two lovers mean? This is a sample survey, and most of them have said that this is either for fun or it is just a general wink. But when I've used this same question to say that if a wink is being shown between a mother to his son, what meaning can it convey? So most of them said it's just for fun. They did not use any other terminology regarding this. So we can understand that the same emoticon, when used between two people, two interlocutors, can mean different. The second is, when do you use this particular emoji? And out of 150 people, 36% said it means a happy emoji, 20% said it's a passively angry emoji. What I mean to say is, see the difference in understanding of this particular emoji, where some people are saying it's a happy one, some people are saying it's a angry emoji. Third is, again, I gave this emoji and I said, what does this emoji mean to you? Most of the people said it means doubtful, some said curious, some said boredom, but most of the people said it's a doubtful emoji. The fourth question, I've just given some of the questions. There were 15 questions, I've given 5 or 6. So this emoji I've given, what are the different meanings which you associate with? All the 3 emojis are happiness emojis, but how do you understand what is the degree of happiness? So it was a bit of a confusing emoji for some people. Some said it's just a happy emoji. Some said they cannot understand, so it's confusing for them. Rather than human expression emojis, they found it easier to understand non-facial related emojis like the handshake emoji. Okay. Another question which I asked is, if I write, okay, I can deal with it, and give this kind of a smiling emoji, what does it mean to you? Some said that it's okay. Some said it can be passively angry and then saying okay. Some said it can mean annoying, and some others said that they don't know. Again, I said, what can this mean? And I said, I placed a picture, an emoji of a clock, and in place of an institution. I said, what does this mean to you? Some said, I will be late. Some said, I will reach at 10, seeing the picture of the clock. Some said, I will be right on time. And others did not have proper answers. So the findings basically is that, though earlier in my literature reviews I had found that it is said in the media richness theory that use of different emoticons along with text, supported by text, can create richer meanings, my survey went against that and said that often humanoid faces in using emoticons between the sender and the receiver can create confusions and ambiguity. And in this one, the boredom, passively angry, these go against each other, and they actually have no meaning until and unless it is used with a certain context or with text. Again, when I used this thing, the winking emoji, between two lovers, that is considered of a different meaning than when a mother sends the winking emoji to her son. So this is what I found, that most of the facial emojis are different to comprehend, and it keeps on differing from culture to culture. Rather, the non-facial emojis are more reliable. Thank you.
So our next presenter, Mr. Moinak Chakraborty and Ms. Bharata Sarkar. Their topic is influences, artistic and design elements in the Poreshnath Temple, Kolkata. After them, we have Dr. Urchita Banerjee. Her topic will be the dialectics of ethnography, communicating through narratives.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, before you start, perhaps you are not present that time. You have 10 minutes to present and 2 minutes to wrap up, right?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Barota Sarkar and my colleague Moinak Chakraborty from Finance and Design Department, SNU. We are really grateful to SNU for giving us this opportunity for presenting our paper on cross-cultural influences, artistic and design elements in the Parishnath temple. So here you can see that our topic, excuse me, what happened? Our topic is the cross-cultural influences, and to explain these influences, we have taken Parishnath temple as an example. But before going into Parishnath temple, we would like to say that Kolkata is also known for its cultural hybridity and eclectic past. This cultural confluence is depicted not only through the architecture, but also through its interior spaces, decorative elements, costume, etc. The eclectic features reflected through the interior of Parishnath temple is not something which is totally alienated. Rather, to prove our point, we have decided to show some images. The first one is of Boshubati Bagbazar. The particular architectural structure is Indian, although we can observe some Victorian design elements on these pillars. And again, we can see this house of Monmothanath Ghosh of Pathuria Ghata. The whole interior space is decorated with Victorian furniture and design elements. And we have also incorporated these two images created by British-French artist. The interior space, this images shows the interior space, which is again a testimony of this kind of confluence, cultural confluences. Next. Now we are going into Parishnath temple. Now the first image at the left-hand side is the image of Badridas Mokim, who actually created the temple. And the next image is the archival photograph of the reception hall. And if we look carefully, or if we could zoom this image out, we would be able to see that this plunk on the frieze, it's written that Chief Mokim of Viceroy of India. So Badridas Mokim was Chief Mokim of Viceroy of India. And this image, the smaller image at the right-hand side, shows a miniature-style painting of Badridas ji, who was at the time probably of age 32. And this particular painting was found inside the temple complex. From here, I would like to ask my colleague, Moinak sir, to continue.
Thank you, ma'am. So here in this slide, we can see clockwise first the Shitalnathji temple, which is dedicated to the 10th Tirthankar of Jainism. And following that is the Chandranath Prabhu temple dedicated to the 8th Tirthankar. Then it's the Mahavir Swami temple, the last Tirthankar of Jainism. And the fourth image is of the Dadabari, which is actually a temple dedicated to the guru of Badridas Mukim. His name was Kalyan Surishwarji Maharaj. This is the Shitalnathji temple. At the extreme left, we can see one of the earliest archival photographs of the temple. And in the middle, it's the temple garden, how it looks now. And you can see it's fully decorated with several ornate objects like Chinese porcelain statues and European style garden landscaping. And the third image shows a statue, one of the many sculptures found in the temple garden, which follows European academic style. So in this image, we can see the cast iron balustrades and cast iron sculptures on top of it, which are very much Victorian or European in style, as well as some other sculptures with mosaic pedestals surrounded by mosaic pavements. And these types of sculptures or balustrades were very much readily available in Calcutta, which were catered by European traders mostly. So as an example, we have kept one image from a catalog belonging to the early 20th century. It's by W. Leslie and Company, which shows such similar objects which were sold in the markets of Calcutta for the native clients. Okay, so in this slide, the top left image shows the balustrades which surrounds the Shitalnathji temple. These balustrades are actually made of stoneware, but their actual purpose is something different. These are jardinier stands which are placed in gardens to keep flower pots or sculptures or something else on top of it. But here they have been appropriated as balustrades. And for example, we can look at the image right below to that, which was made by Doulton Lambeth, British company. It's quite similar to the other balustrades we can see, and also it was made by a British producer. And at the extreme right-hand side, we can see one stick stand. It's similar to a Chinese porcelain, but the same stick stand has been appropriated here in the garden as a jardinier stand and were placed with fish, golden fish on top of it. It actually represents the symbol of Shitalnathji. So at the very entrance of the Shitalnathji temple, we can see two Victorian tiles. One represents night and the other represents day, symbolically. So at the extreme left, we can see the image of a lady holding a torch and a moon right beside her. And the other image shows a lady holding flowers in her hand, and at the bottom of her feet is the sun. And these tiles, the stylistic features, especially the draperies, are very much similar to that of the painters of the Victorian era, both British and French. And for example, we have kept a few images here. The first one is by Simeon Solomon. The images are quite similar to the tiles. The lady is also holding a burning torch, and the moon is right beside to her. The next image is by Edward Coley Burne-Jones, who himself was a member of the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood. And if you look at the drapery especially, it is very much similar in the tiles. So that means they have followed these features of the paintings which were very popular in the salon art. And also at the bottom we can see some similar symbolic paintings by William Adolph Bouguereau. And I'd like to mention about the painting Day, which is at the right. The lady is exactly holding the flower exactly in a similar manner as we can see it in the tile. So these are examples of three sculptures of many sculptures we get to see in the temple garden, which are placed on the pedestals. But today these pedestals invoke more interest because of these tiles which are placed on it. So at the left-hand side, we can see a cluster of 4 images. These are just 4 of many tiles found in the garden. And they are known as Qajar tiles since they were made in Iran during the rule of the Qajar dynasty. And during the Qajar dynasty rule, there was a revival of Safavid miniature art. So the same is reflected in this style as well. And though they are in quite deplorable condition, we have found similar images in some of the famous museums of the world. For example, the top middle picture shows a similar tile, which is now located in the Vatican Museum. Right next to that is another tile, which is now archived in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I would like to bring your attention to the feature, especially the person who is depicted. It's actually a huntsman who is holding a falcon, because falconry is a very popular sport in the Middle East region. What is ironic here is that it is exactly opposite to the core philosophy of Jainism, which is ahimsa or non-violence. So that is very surprising to be found in a Jain temple. And at the bottom middle picture, it shows a Zoroastrian ruler with his 4 attendants. It has been done following the sculptures found in the Persepolis ruins. And exactly similar tile is now kept in a very good condition in the British Museum.
Sir, 2 more minutes to wrap up.
Okay. So these are few other examples showing the Palais Trocadero of Paris, another one depicting a popular folklore character of Europe. The range of tiles are quite diverse, not necessarily following the norms of designs. This is the Dadabari. So at first glance, Dadabari reminds of us the architecture of a dargah actually, because of its architectural features, the dome, etc. And following is the Chandranath Prabhu temple. It is done according to the Indo-Saracenic architecture. And at the extreme right, we can see the Villa Medici in Rome, where we get to see the Medici lions. And the exact copies of the same are placed in front of the Chandranath Prabhu temple. And the last one is the Mahavir Swami temple. The interior of this temple has used extensively ceramic tiles to decorate it. And at the bottom left corner, we get to see Dutch tiles which depict typical Dutch landscape scenes with Dutch architecture and windmills, etc. Also, we get to see Majolica tiles at in the middle, which depict Art Nouveau style designs. And also, this temple contains some murals apparently done in Jaipuri fresco technique, but the stylistic features, they depict Orishi Patachitra, something very unusual to be found inside the Jain temple. Now, I'd like to ask Bharata.
Okay, this is the last slide we are presenting. Now here, at the very left corner, we'll be able to see the present condition of those priceless tiles. These other tiles, which are actually found in several celebrated famous museums, are here. We can see are victim of some immature restoration technique. And next to it, there is again a sculpture, a bust, probably created in the Victorian era. Now, thanks to our newly found conservative outlook, is now covered with bright colors. Again, this next image, 2 images. The first image at the top shows the bare walls at the exterior of the temple, which goes so well with the architecture and the overall ambience of the Jain monument, Jain temple. But now those walls are covered with, kind of relief work, low relief work, which in our mind does not go with the overall architecture and ambience. And finally, I would like to draw your attention to the changing cityscape which the surrounding is offering, and everything is changing, and therefore, this is overall our presentation is an attempt. It is also an attempt to draw your attention to these changes, and if we can do something to kind of divert our attention to all these changes and do something better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chakraborty and Ms. Sarkar. Our next presenter is Dr. Urchita Banerjee. Her topic is the dialectics of ethnography, communicating through narratives. After Dr. Banerjee, we will have Shaumo Priya Saha. Bose. Sorry, Somapriya Bose. Her topic will be Breaking Stereotypes, the Evolution of Gender Representation in Indian TV Ads, right?
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to extend my gratitude to the organizing committee and all the members of the organizing committee for giving me this opportunity to present my paper here. So to begin with, as the title goes, the dialectics of, I'm Orchita Banerjee from the Department of English. So the dialectics of ethnography, communication through narratives. So basically here, at the very outset, I would like to mention that this is a study that I had been engaged in some time back when I was attending a convention in Surabaya, Indonesia, and where I got to mingle and interact with the local people there, the natives. And this is a very important and a special case study for me because you see that that was an unfamiliar space where for the first time I had went there and I got to interact with the people. The language was new to me, and moreover the food habits, their belief systems, their culture, everything was kind of an alien sort of a thing to me. So it is very special that despite all these challenges, I could, carry out kind of an unprepared or impromptu field work or ethnography, and I was quite successful at that. So the theoretical framework that I used, because I faced these, some of the challenges that I faced, I would like to mention, was the language problem. I encountered people who could not speak English at all. They did not understand English as well. So either through with the help of the interpreters or through certain gestures and artifacts, they tried to connect with us. The second thing was, as I said, unfamiliar space. Third thing was, if you are acquainted with ethnographic work, you would know that it takes time. A lot of time, say from 1 month to a couple of months or more than that, in order to understand the pulse of the people, what it is all about, what is their culture, what are their traditional beliefs and everything. So since we could not get that much time to interact with them and it was highly unprepared, so I would say that the paucity of time was a great challenge for us. So under such circumstances, with all these challenges keeping in mind, what helped me was, an approach, a theory or a theoretical framework given by Hines, which is popularly known as the ethnography of communication. So that came into play, and that is how I could kind of successfully carry out my work. So because I was attending a seminar there, so I stayed only for 10 to 12 days. So with that, whatever I could do, I tried my best. Okay. So I'll try to read out. I cannot show you the slides actually because I have to kind of, I had a talk with them. So right now they are not prepared to I'm not supposed to show the slides, the photographs now. So I'll just try to read out certain portions from my write-up and explain. So usually we associate communication with verbal communication. Now, while carrying out my ethnographic research in an unfamiliar space, like I told you, and where language was a major problem, it became a barrier. So most of the natives and the folk performers there, they couldn't speak English or understand. In such a case, I had to take the help from an interpreter to understand. And also other methods of understanding the traditional beliefs, their habits, their food habits, their clothes, and everything was conveyed to me by the interpreters who somewhat understand the language English. So now, drawing a few references from these experiences, I would like to argue how effectively the theoretical framework used here, known as the ethnography of communication, propounded by Himes has helped in understanding and analyzing the process of communication between the natives and the researcher, leading to their cultural expression from an unfamiliar region. Where direct communication failed, the ethnography of communication succeeded in making this communication and interaction better. And my aim or objective was to connect to them and gather as much information and response as I could from them. The paper illustrates that the ethnography of communication is a vital tool for grasping the varied and diverse aspects of human communication across different cultural settings. And by examining the cultural patterns and meanings linked to communication, it enhances our understanding of human interaction and its role in shaping social relationships and cultural identities, especially outside our known boundaries. Okay. Now, the term ethnography of communication, if we see, we get two concepts, ethnography and communication. I'll give a very brief account of what ethnography, the origin of the word ethnography. It comes from the Greek word ethnos, meaning people, and grapho, which means right. And it refers to the scientific study of the customs of different people from different cultures. And this is basically mostly a qualitative, my paper is based on a qualitative research, not a quantitative one. And as a branch of anthropology, it focuses on the detailed description of specific human cultures. As I said, it is a qualitative research approach designed to understand cultural phenomena that reflect the knowledge and meanings guiding a cultural group's life. In every interaction, individuals utilize specific communicative resources to navigate their social lives. These resources, unique to the groups that use them, hold significance for the speakers and are shaped by the cultural norms of their speech community, which evolve over time. Ethnographers of communication focus on everyday conversations across various contexts to understand and describe these distinct ways of speaking, prioritizing the interpretation of their meanings from the speaker's perspectives. That is an emic way of understanding their life, their lifestyle, and everything. So we have kind of two concepts, the etic and the emic. So mostly in this kind of methodology, we feel that the emic concept or the emic method is more fruitful because we get to understand the insights of the people from their own words, from their own narratives. So say, for example, when we interacted with the local community and like they had a neighborhood, whole neighborhood to themselves, and they were migrants basically because they came from an island elsewhere, based on the same, in the same space, but they came from an island where they could not find any other amenities at all. So they had to change their base. And when they came here to stay in Surabaya, they had their houses, very, humble living with common spaces. And those common spaces constituted the kitchens as well as washrooms and everything. And they greeted us because they couldn't speak to us properly and we could not understand what they were saying. They greeted us with their food, indigenous native food made there. So communication that is rarely found here because we do not have that speech problem. But where we do have, they try their best to, cross the barrier by using subtle other ways. In 1962, linguist and anthropologist Del Himes introduced the concept of the ethnography of speaking, critiquing linguistics for concentrating primarily on language as an abstract system disconnected from its social and cultural context. At the same time, anthropology often examined cultural artifacts and systems related to communication, but overlooked communication as a cultural activity in its own right. So what he did was basically he merged both the ideas from linguistics as well as anthropology. Himes renamed the discipline as the ethnography of communication, to emphasize that speaking is just one of many means individuals use to interact. So this new approach focused on the resources people employ to generate meaning in their everyday social interactions. There are several key concepts associated with this theory and which I had used in my study as well while I was there. So some of them are, like Himes identified the main units of analysis, including speech community, speech situation, speech event, speech act, and ways of speaking. A speech community is defined not by geographic boundaries, but by members sharing at least one common language, which in my case happened to be Javanese. The people there, they spoke a common language, that is Javanese, having regular contact and adhering to norms of communicative conduct and interpretation. The next is speech situation. Okay. Refers to the broader context or setting where events and acts can take place. A speech event consists of a series of activities that involve a single speech act or multiple speech acts, such as a conversation, debate, like the conversations we had with them, and we got to know that they have several belief systems, their narratives, which actually bind them together. Now, overall, the conceptual framework outlined above, including the speech situations, speech events, speech acts, and ways of speaking, offers valuable insights into understanding culture through everyday communication. Instead of defining culture as a specific group or geographic area, the ethnography of communication views it as a system composed of symbols, meanings, premises, and rules. The ethnographer focuses particularly on the subset of these elements that relates to communicative behavior within a speech community, and it also gets expressed through their rituals, their everyday rituals that they do. And one of the rituals was associated with Wayang. Wayang is supposed to be a puppet show that they indulge in, and they have seasons for that. On several such occasions, they they host this Wayang show, and it has got some ritualistic connections as well, origins. So these are the ways they try to, communicate with the outsiders, because they want the outsiders to know about their culture as well. And in the conclusion, I would like to say that communication is not just a process of, giving out information through language, but it is also kind of a socio-cultural phenomenon, because it is deeply rooted in specific cultural as well as social contexts, where you see it emphasizes the diverse resources people use for communication, both verbal as well as non-verbal cues, gestures, and even technology for that matter. And this approach, the emic perspective or the emic approach, happens to be, in such unprepared circumstances, they happen to be the most effective tool for understanding the cultural background and the expressions of these people. So with that, I'll end the presentation. Thank you.
Dr. Banerjee, next we have after Ms. Bose, we have Ms. Ananya Dalal. Ms. Dalal's topic is Women in Print, a study of the works by Raja Ravi Verma and Chittaprasad Bhattacharya.
Shomopriya Bose. I'm a part-time PhD scholar with SNU, and I'm also a corporate communications professional working with a corporate. So my topic for the paper is breaking stereotypes, and it's a comparative analysis of the gender representation of Indian TV ads. And I've taken some very well-known ads from the 1990s that we can all recall, and compared them with the ads that are shown in the modern context. So to give a background to this paper, so basically advertisements are just about 15-20 seconds. So they're extremely powerful in shaping perceptions, because it says a lot, because the attention span of people are short nowadays, and it just says whatever it has to within this 15 to 20 seconds. And usually ads are played repeatedly. So the same commercials we watch again and again. So sometimes, we can remember ads that we might have seen years back or even decades back. So in a country like ours, where the literacy level is somewhere average around 75%, and there is 25% of illiteracy, television actually is a very important medium for communication, for information dissemination, for entertainment. And advertisements, TV advertisements, take a very large part of this entire television content that we watch. Advertisements is always often said that they mirror the cultural and the societal values of a society. And taking it further, there is an argument that advertisements not only mirror, but they mold. So this is a very traditional, very for years of argument whether it is actually mirroring, as in just showing what is going on in the society, or is it taking steps to actually mold the perception. So this mirror versus mold term was used by a researcher called Pole in 1986. But what we see is that for decades, Indian television ads have actually reinforced traditional gender roles, where women and men are seen in particular social and occupational roles. So the perceptions that women are the caregivers, they are seen as a wife or a mother, being in the home, taking care of the home. She is a decision maker, but in the home circumstances. She's concerned about her family. She's concerned about her family's well-being and health. She's seen doing domestic chores. She's often used as to endorse products of beauty, fashion. She is sometimes objectified, even insulted or degraded because of her color. The women should have a lighter skin to get more acceptance. Whereas men, on the other hand, are seen as successful professionals. They are seen as breadwinners for the family. They are seen as handling stressful situations. We often see a man working, going through a very stressful day at work, comes back home and is given care by the wife or the woman of the family. He is a decision maker in financial space. We see men making decisions of whether to buy that particular insurance for the family or not, whether so financial related decision making is taken by the man. He is seen as someone who's a winner, who shows power, strength in athletic situations, in competitive situations. So these are the very common perceptions. Now, to understand why do advertisements actually take recourse to stereotyping? Number one would be to simplify messages, because a lot has to be told within this 15-20 seconds. So simplification and categorizing information actually makes it easier to create that recall, to make people, to actually create a brand recall, and then probably take that to the buying decisions. Time constraints, and the conformity part, it's actually either mirroring or molding argument, whichever way we would like to believe that. And also, advertising often speaks of it doesn't maybe says these in so many words, but there's an unspoken understanding of the messages that an advertising shows, a TV commercial shows, even if that stereotyping is damaging to the affiliated group. And I have already spoken about how the ads are actually repeated to create a sense of familiarity, to create a sense of trust, to reinforce messages, and to guide the consumers towards what the advertisers actually want them to focus on. So my paper actually does content analysis of TV commercials from the 1990s. And the analysis focuses on the gender roles, how the man and the woman are actually portrayed in the domestic or professional or public settings, what kind of products are being endorsed by the man or the woman, and how these ads are actually either challenging or reinforcing the gender norms. So, due to the paucity of time, I'm only showing 4 ads over here where I can talk about the comparison. So here's an ad from 1990s, a very famous ad that we all might remember. It's called Aerial Microsystem, where we see a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law in an equation. So mother-in-law is probably because of her age moved on to a more seniority role, where she challenges, and the daughter-in-law is seen as a change maker, where she's trying to introduce a new product into the family. So it's aerial microsystem that she's recommending, and the mother-in-law is very skeptical about it. So she doesn't believe that. And then finally, in this course of 15-20 seconds, we actually see that the daughter-in-law was correct, so she kind of establishes her position or acceptance into this equation. Moving on, but what we need to see is that both the women, the senior and the junior, are seen as in a domestic setup, doing a domestic chore, and the equation is limited to home. Whereas Ariel now has actually trying to break this stereotype with this campaign called Share the Load, where the woman is still seen that she still has to take care of the laundry part, perhaps, but somewhere the man in her life, whether it's in certain cases it could be her husband, or even there's an ad where a father actually realizes that how over the years he's been very like he's not really helped out the mother, and the mother solely had to take care of all the responsibilities. So he's willing to share the load, and it asks a question that, is laundry only a woman's job? So here we see a certain breaking of stereotype. The Cadbury's ad, in fact, the 2021 ad actually went viral with many mentions in the social media platform commending this ad. So first talking about the 1994 ad, where we see a woman watching her male partner, who's a cricketer. It's a very tense sort of a scene where probably it's the last ball, and it just builds up the suspense, and how he actually hits that 6 and wins the match, and this ecstatic woman breaks free. She actually jigs into the ground. In fact, to mention, even I think in those times, this ad was actually still progressive, because we never saw women in such a role where she's actually dancing in a public forum, she's like breaking free. So it had that the breaking free sort of a messaging even then. But coming to 2021, Cadbury's has consciously done this ad where frame by frame it has actually recreated the old ad. Here the woman is seen as the cricketer. So she is, the protagonist, if I can say. And here the male partner is actually watching with the same tense expressions, and then when she hits as a six, she actually dances. So it's actually literally a frame by frame recreation of this ad, that why should men only excel in the sports field. Yeah. So Fair and Lovely ad, we have seen how a woman has been rejected at her marriage or even prospective jobs because of her skin color, and then she uses Fair and Lovely, she becomes fair and she becomes acceptable, and there she clinches a job or that marriage proposal. Whereas now, Fair and Lovely is called Glow and Lovely, and they actually are using women of darker shades as their models. And if you can see a comparison where in the earlier ad we see the woman with the darker complexion, her expression is sad. Whereas here we don't see that. I mean, she doesn't care about her color. Her color doesn't define a woman. A Saffola ad had also similarly shown a woman very scared about her husband's heart health, about the stress that he goes through at work. Whereas cut to the modern ad where it is the man who's, I would say this is pretty progressive, because in a sense we've hardly ever seen man in the Indian context managing the kitchen and making decision like which oil to buy for the family. And here he's actually worried about her wife's health at work, who's going through a very stressful situation, and he chooses Saffola. So I would say that there is a conscious shift. So whether it is coming from the demands of the consumers, so there is a conscious shift from objectifying women to portraying them in a more positive roles, where they are seen in a leadership roles, professional roles in the public sphere. And also showing women, moving from being just a homemaker, or perhaps at a more balancing roles, which we see of women today. And men also taking part in the domestic chores and equally sharing the responsibility. Is it enough? Yeah. Is it enough? Perhaps not, because we see many more ads still taking recourse to the stereotyping, to the domestic versus the public sphere, roles. But perhaps there is somewhere a conscious effort to break the stereotype and more, portraying both the genders in a more balanced roles, being more inclusive in the outlook. And I think going forward, more brands need to adopt more progressive gender roles and consciously break the stereotype even further. Thank you.
A study of the works by Raja Ravi Verma and Chitta Prasad Bhattacharya.
Okay. Good afternoon. This is Ananya, and I am working as an assistant professor in the Fine Arts and Design department. And I'm also pursuing my research in Shantiniketan, Vishwavarti University. So my topic is women in print. So now, today we are talking about social media, internet, and maybe all the other areas that has evolved throughout the time to communicate in a larger group of people. But in the beginning, in the past, print was the only medium, like when print started, printing industry started, it was the only medium to communicate, like, it was a way, only way to, of mass communication. So that's why I think print plays a major role in shaping the whole visual culture that is somehow the past of what we study today. So modern printing technique arrived in India in the mid of 16th century, and as soon as it arrived here, it arrived with the Portuguese missionaries, and they started it in Goa, but they started to use it extensively to for religious purposes, and later on, economic and political purposes also. Demand for printed illustrations, like first, in the beginning it was only used for commercial purpose, but by the mid 18th century, there were a lot of schools evolving, like printing, for printmaking especially, for printing. And during the British rule in Kolkata, they started like to cater to the mass. They started to use the printing techniques extensively. So these are some of the very early prints that we can see. So these days we're studying printmaking. So prints and printmaking has a big difference, but we'll just go into it. So these are the very old prints that we get to see. This is a Bottler print. So this is one of the very important images. So as I say, these images has become so popular that these days we can also see this Kali image in many T-shirts or many design elements and all. But in the beginning, this is how it became a popular image. So somehow this Bottler print has shaped the what can I say, like social and visual culture completely, because in the images we can see the figures that are here that reflect the Babu culture. Like Babu culture means which was evolving at that time, and they were completely like copying the British people or the colonial people. And you can see the hats they're wearing and the kind of dress and all. So this also goes like this. So how printmaking, how important it is. In his book, in the book of P.H. Moore, he says, there are few inventions that have more radically affected the outlook and the daily lives of every one of us, and almost every invention since owes a great deal to printing. Because as I said already, printing started our way, like it was the first thing that we can say as, we can point out as a mass communicating medium. So till 1960s, both the things like commercial prints and the non-commercial prints were called graphic art. But as non-commercial prints that artists were doing had a different kind of purpose and attitude, so there was a need to distinguish between these two. So this term was coined around 1964. So the non-commercial prints were called printmaking, that we are studying or practicing today in the studios. So Along with this term, when it was coined, there were a lot of definitions said that when it is called printmaking, when it is called just printing. So why I chose this topic is studying this visual culture because it was because of its multiplication quality. It can be spread in a larger scale, like when there was no internet, no social media, nothing. So it could be spread widely, and the visual culture it created and had a very large impact. It was very powerful at that time. So through those images, we can also have an idea what kind of culture, what kind of society it was there during that time. So while looking at those images, we can notice, we can observe some of the points that I have mentioned here. Male-centric social understanding because it already was reflecting the society during that time. Women were not going to the institutions, and they were not given any major roles in social forums and all this. Certain distinction how men and women artists adapted and projected femininity through their arts. So I'm talking of a time when it all started, but throughout if we study later, in the later part, when women artists also started working, there is a very prominent distinction. So I'll just start with one of the artists who used printmaking as a tool for creating his art. Raja Ravi Verma. So he was one of the pioneers to use printmaking in a larger scale, and he wanted to reach to a lot of people with his work, and that's how he started. He thought that if we print and if we make it, if we multiply the copies, and I can reach towards the common people also. So when this colonial culture was growing rapidly, Ravi Verma thought that we need to emphasize on the Indian culture also. But however, he adapted the European academic style and promoted the Indian icons or mythological figures. So those things he started to, as a subject, he took those Indian things, but his style was very much European. So in these images, we can see that as Ravi Verma, as a male artist, how he is executing the women figures, where this subject, in the right side of the, right side image, you can understand that, especially this the middle figure in the first row, it seems like she is showcasing something to the viewer. She is not, it's like many times it seems like objectified, and her beauty is used in, it never, as per my experience, I feel like if he was a women artist, he would have never done this to the picture. And also this left side image, which is Radha Viraha. So the whole projection doesn't seem like only he's emphasizing only on the subject, but also the women figure, how it is depicted here. In the in the religious images also, how the women figures are positioned is never like they are in the main role. All the time, they are positioned in a way that they are they are supporting the main image, and they are just playing a passive role in the whole picture. So these are also similar kind of examples. And on the above, you can see this winged fairy kind of figures, Cupid-like figures, which are directly from the European, coming from the European visual culture. So this is just a quote. It came from my literature review. So women were objectified and were used as ancillary subjects to glorify the main subject of the painting, which used to be male god or king for most of the times. The women were used as a medium for satisfying the desires of the males. May it be a king or a male god or the prototype of well-proportioned figures with seductive beauty had been served up to entertain the onlookers. So in most of the cases, the women were showed in an interior or there with the male figures. It's like the whole execution is like this. So quickly, I'll just show three slides. This is a painting by Amrita Shergill, who was working during the same time. So these three images are, the composition or the elements are kind of same. But here you can see, because it is done by a woman artist, the figure doesn't seem like it is so showcased to the viewer. She is engrossed in herself, and also the drapery and the way she is lying there. There is a big difference. And these two are like, this is by Edward Manet, who is from the West. So in both the pictures, though one is from the West, one is from India, but in both the cases, it seems like the women is there to showcase, or they're just there to please the viewers or the onlookers. So quickly, I'll just show that the influence of Raja Ravi Verma's works on the ads that happened later on. So another artist is Chitto Prasad Bhattacharya, mainly known by his first name. So he came little later than Raja Ravi Verma, but in a time when already India was in an unstable state, and all the movements and for independence started, and a lot of turmoil was going on. So it seems like because of the turmoil, because of the instability in the society, the representation of women changed in the male artists' works. So here we can see the women are not projected in the same way. They are not projected as an object to showcase or to please the viewers, but also they are actively participating in many social activities, or maybe it can be rallies, it can be rallies, or it can be like when they are suffering or when they are just working along with the men. So they're also shown as a character of power and active engagement in the society. But somehow, these images of him, it was quite surprising, because in one hand, he is showing the women as strong as a male, but as he being a male artist, when he's rendering this kind of figure, when in the background women are also working, but the way the whole picture is rendered, it somehow attracts your attention to a certain point. So the stereotype still remains there, because when I was working on this, I assumed that it is going to be like, because of the social change and reformation, the execution would be different. But he being a male artist, still he couldn't leave the way that I showed in the previous slides. He couldn't leave it completely. And in these images, you can see how the women is rendered with a, like a decorative element, and the same thing, women as mother, women just doing households, and this is the thing. So in the previous, yes. So these are my just a few observations. I'll just not read. So basically the idea of greatness and question of genius considered natural property belonged to men, and women were like shown as a character who will stay at home, and this is the certain distinction how men and women artists adapted and projected for femininity through their arts. So these are just some. So in Linda Naucklin's work, she has worked extensively on the women artists and why women artists we cannot see much in the museums. So this is just a quote, how to look at the women figures when we see visual art. So that's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Our last presentation. Watches. Dr. Shah, please.
Hello. Why I did this particular paper. So I'll go directly to the paper. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation as such. I'll show you points from the analysis that I've done on my paper. Also go through the research questions that I have and also show a couple of advertisements to kind of address what the issue is mainly. So the primary observation that I always had as a personal experience from my childhood has been to do with the fact that it has never been about the watches. They have never tried to sell you a watch in general. And it surprises me because ma'am spoke so nicely on what an advertisement does and what their function is, the reinforcement, how a product is sold and everything. So then the question really is that if a company is advertising a storyline where the watch is not really the focus, how could they be so successful over the period of time? So that brought me to these research questions, which are to analyze the basic message, storyline, argument, emotion, frame and prominence of the messages in the selected advertisements that are there, to study if there has been any major change or if a trend is observable in the ads over the years, to study the audience engagement of these advertisements with viewers on YouTube platform. Now, since these advertisements are many years old, so my point of reference had to be the YouTube platform. And for that, what I've done is I've gone to two of their official YouTube pages. These two are the pages and they have a huge audience engagement as well. One is this particular page, which is the Titan watch page. If you see the kind of engagement that they already have, they have 243, 366, 828 views on their particular channel and 333 videos over the period of time. The channel was created in 2011, so 2011 onwards, whatever content they have uploaded, I had access to that. The other channel that I accessed for this particular research paper was made in 2008, again another official channel. This was not a Titan watch specific channel, but rather a Titan Industries limited channel, which was there. I would like to start with a couple of advertisements which kind of showcase what I'm trying to drive home, the point that I'm trying to raise. Titan advertisements, I have analyzed 16 advertisements in my research paper. I could have done more, but my paper is already 5,000 words, so I did not want to extend this. So I would start, I know there is a slight disturbance happening here, but the kind of messaging that has been portrayed through the advertisements. This is the first ad in my case study, which I have taken. It is published on YouTube 16 years back. This is, of course, longer duration over the period. I think it was published much earlier. Pyar ke baad sabse pyara upahar is a Titan. If I could show this particular advertisement to you, it would reveal, this is one of the first ads that we remember, I'm sure everyone remembers from their childhood days. The focus has been, for all the advertisements that I have been able to analyze, the focus has mostly been on showing the relationship that exists, the joy of gifting, and gradually over the years, this I believe was possibly 25 years ago that this particular advertisement came into being. But ever since then, 7 years back also, the kind of advertisements that they have put up, it has been a gradual shift from being an item of gifting alone to being an item of identity creation, where it creates a sense of self-identity, it adds self-value to the person who is buying the Titan product. And it's not just a watch, but it's about buying yourself the kind of time or adding value to the kind of existence that one has. Over the period of time, the advertisements have focused on a number of issues and topics. If I talk about these in a gradual way, it would be, and also I'm looking at the kind of engagement that they have had on the YouTube platform. This particular advertisement has 136K views, 56 comments, 925 likes. And the engagement, when we look at the kind of engagement that is there, it talks about, the constant nostalgia that people feel in going through this ad, father-daughter relationship that the brand has been able to create, and the music is something that people keep on talking about. Another 16-year-old advertisement that I have analyzed in my paper focuses again on rediscover the joy of giving. But again, as I was saying, that the joy of giving, the concept has evolved with the change in society as well. In this particular advertisement, published 16 years ago on YouTube, we see that we are looking at the society at that point of time where there is a conventional family which is there. It's time for Diwali, and the husband gifts a watch, a quartz watch, to the wife. And those were the relationships that were shown in the advertisements. Now, since the society has evolved, as we see the later ads, we'll be able to see that although the joy of giving might be there, but the kind of stories that we have focused on in the Titan advertisements have changed over the period of time. Another 16-year-old ad would be, could any Diwali gift mean quite as much to her as a Titan Quartz? Rediscover the joy of giving again, 16 years ago, that we are getting to see. Relationship between a couple and how, and this is again one of the iconic ads that they have produced. I'll go through the ads quickly, and then if there is time, I can go through a couple of advertisements as an AV. If we go celebrating 50 million watches, among the different advertisements that were there, this was one of the few advertisements that Titan has produced which focused on the watches. Again, that was because Titan by this time had sold 50 million watches, and this was an iconic moment for the brand because, as we know, at that point of time, the competition primarily were HMT and Timex. And Titan as a brand, when it started evolving, it created a huge, stir in the market, captured a huge market space. And this was one of the ads that they showcased a lot of their watches in, instead of just focusing on the storyline. But it wasn't an ad without a storyline. The story that they were trying to essentially tell was that through these 50 million watches, they have touched 50 million lives. And these lives ranged from a different range of demographic backgrounds that they could have access to. Titan Raga Feel Beautiful is an iconic ad because Titan Raga as a particular lineup of ads has evolved over the period of time. And today when we look at Titan ads and the kind of messaging that they put through, Titan Raga ads have continuously been focusing on social issues. We'll see what these social issues really are. But even 16 years ago, when the ad started, the focus or the emphasis wasn't so much on the social issue, but yes, it did touch upon the fact that you need to feel beautiful from within. but it was not as much of a society-based or social message-driven thing as we can see today in 2024 maybe. Again, 2.8K views, 3 likes, SEO score as we can get to see is 65. 2006 was the time when this particular campaign was released. Kabhi kisi mauke pe, kabhi yun hi. So previously, during the evolution period, we get to see that Titan was being showcased as a gifting thing, something that you gifted to people. The primary focus had been on gifting it during marriages, gifting it during special occasions like Diwali or festive seasons. For the very first time, we saw that the focus shifted to buying a Titan watch randomly at any given point of time to celebrate any small event in life, because life was about those small moments. The advertisement that I talk about here also showcases Amir Khan as a brand ambassador, and we get to see the relationship. Again, the focus is not just on the watch, but on the relationship that a grandchild has with the grandmother, where he comes back home, gifts a watch, and that is to celebrate the relationship that they have. The fun banter is also something that can be noticeable. In 2008, another Amir Khan campaign, Be Born Every Day, the ad focuses on self-discovery. So for the very first time, we can see that coming away from just social relationships within the family, the advertisements or the campaigns are focusing on developing a sense of self-worth, or self-discovery is the prime focus of this particular advertisement. It showcases a kind of liberation that one enjoys wearing the watch and the value that one adds to their life when they go through a process of self-discovery, and the watch essentially helps in the process. But again, the focus is not really on the watch, but on the process of self-discovery. Coming from 2008, if we cut to another ad of 2024, as I was mentioning, that self-worth and self-discovery has changed over the period of time. So this is a campaign that features Alia Bhatt, because this is also a star-driven campaign, which talks about beautiful together. It is set in the backdrop of two separate storylines happening together. It's an elevator ad which is there, where there are two people from the young generation, Alia Bhatt also being there, but she's a star. Of course, there is a difference that is there in the mindset between the three people who are there in the elevator. But we can get to see that Alia Bhatt embraces, although she is a star, she embraces these two individuals who are there and adds something to their life and adds joy to it. The ad talks about being beautiful together and celebrating each other's journey as well. So from self-discovery, it is now about celebrating each other so that we can enhance and be a support system to whoever is there in the ecosystem. It's not just about who is successful, who is not. It's not just about an individual thing anymore, which was there in 2008 or roughly around that time, or 7 years back maybe. Love yourself. Okay, so again, I'll not get into the details of these ads then. Love yourself boldly, do labels really define you? This was one of the campaigns that they have done. Flaunt your flaw, that is something that they have focused on. Again, celebrating your flaws as a part of your life. What you feel is who you are. Again, a sense of self-discovery in many ways. Happy International Women's Day advertisement. This particular advertisement focuses on finding time for yourself, even in this beautiful and busy corporate life that we are a part of. It says, making time for yourself makes you better at everything you do. That has been the choice. And Mom by Choice is also another beautiful campaign, a social cause that Titan has addressed over the period of time. That being a mom is a choice, and it's a choice of time that you do for your own self. Again, in a way, signifying the importance of time, but not the watch directly. Break the Bias has been another very beautiful, very celebrated ad campaign by Titan. I'll add with this particular ad, because this I feel sums it up. And the final ad that I've analyzed talks about the startup culture that is there. It showcases how a young employee in the corporate structure moves out, creates his own startup, and becomes successful, and actually ends up hiring his boss, previous boss, as the CEO of his company. Which was in parallel. What I've tried to show through these advertisements is that not only have they worked and evolved over the period of time based on the societal changes that have been happening. Say, for example, the startup ad that was there was at a time parallel when the startup story was happening in India at a huge level. So whatever has been happening in the society, Titan has been reflecting upon that. And even though they have not really sold the watch, but what stories they have sold have actually sold their watch, and today 60 million watches are produced by them in a given year, which I believe is a huge success story in a market like India. This is the advertisement that I would like to end my presentation with. I have not analyzed this, but this in a way sums up what Titan has tried to talk about.
Hi. How have you been?
बस वैसे ही, जैसे तुमने छोड़ा था. And you are still not married.
काम से टाइम कहाँ मिलता है?
Of course. We could have made it work, you know. If you'd only quit working.
तुम भी तो क्विट कर सकते थे.
मेरी बात अलग है.
कैसे?
How can a man not work, यार?
Actually, you're right, आकाश. तुम ना आज भी वैसे ही हो जैसे मैंने तुम्हें छोड़ा था. खुद से नया रिश्ता. Titan Raga.
So that's it. We can go through, actually multiple ads are there, but I believe there is a scarcity of time. So these ads have really challenged. These ads have really challenged the society, the problems that are there in the society, and you know, this, say for example, if we can sum up with this ad also, the kind of bias that is there in the workplace for women. I think this ad questions so many things without showcasing a single watch. If we see this, you know, at least in the previous ad, you saw the watch. Look at this ad. I mean,
Completed recommended promotion list.
Thank you. Kiran, recommended by Rajat. Obviously.
Who's Kiran? And why obvious?
Sir, Kiran, star of Rajat's team. Rajat उसको हर प्रोजेक्ट में ले लेता है सर. He says they make a great team. Young है, fresher है, पर रजत को उस पे पूरा भरोसा है सर. And जब देखो they're working together. Not just in office, huh? They spend weekends also on work. On discussions, brainstorming sessions, या some presentations. सबसे पहले ऑफिस आते हैं, सबसे लेट निकलते हैं. For them, it's all about work, sir.
हम भी देखें रजत का recommendation.
Sure, sir.
Yes, sir.
हाँ, किरण को अंदर भेजना.
Sure, sir.
Thank you. Everyone, this is Kiran.
which concludes my title, that it's never really about the watch, but it's about something else for Titan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. So with this, if we can take a couple of quick questions, if there is any.
আমি একটা কুইক কোয়েশ্চেন করি প্লিজ. আমি সবটা থাকতে পারি অনন্যটা দেখেছি. আমার একটা জিনিস অবজারভেশন, মানে চিত্রপ্রসাদ তো ওয়াজ আ পলিটিক্যাল আর্টিস্ট, হি ওয়াজ আ পলিটিক্যাল পারসন মোর লাইক. তো যে ছবিটা তুমি বললে মাদার এন্ড চাইল্ড এবং পিছনে ধান খাচ্ছে, আই থিঙ্ক কন্ট্রারি টু হোয়াট ইউ সেড, আই থিঙ্ক ইট ওয়াজ আ ভেরি পোটেন্ট depiction of mother feeding a child, whether it was mother nature producing the crops, which is also a way of feeding the humanity, and women cutting it, being the conduit between the fooding system and the food that is being produced, and the mother and child. So I thought it was a very positive, man, that's my point of view. মানে এই ছবিটা আমার এটা একটা, this was my observation, not a question. I might be completely wrong, it's a perspective that I'm saying. এটা একটা, আর অমর্ত্যর যেটা আমার মনে হয়েছে যে স্টোরি টেলিং, যে টাইটানের স্টোরি টেলিংটা begins with Mozart's Symphony 25, which in itself is a story. It's Mozart's first tragic composition, a day after he composed his Symphony 24. He was sitting in Salzburg and he received the news of death of a friend. And he was in Salzburg. He had just composed Symphony 24, and then he composed Symphony 25 in that madness of that news. And it was his first tragic composition that was also used as the opening tune of Amadeus, where the first scene where it begins with the tragedy and then goes into the story. The storytelling thing of this of the Titan, the reason maybe why they took it is because of this strong story that Symphony 25 itself has, and that is the reason it stands out as a tune. And this drum and string format, this was also the first time that Mozart was using for Symphony 25. The only reason I know about it is because I love the tune so much that I started reading about the tune a bit. No, because we grew up with this tune, so I started reading about this, and then I came to know about the story behind the tune, and it's a fabulous story. Means Mozart being Mozart, the madness that he has, and the way he has created his different tunes out of nothing. Just because he loved a custard, he has created Symphony 10 because his love for his custard. So each of his creation has so much of story behind it. So that I thought could be included. It would enrich your paper. That the Symphony 25 has a story behind it also.
In fact, this is one of the things that has been highlighted in almost all the comments that you get to see in all the videos. People still talk about the tune so much. And Titan has also done so much with the tune. They've Indianized the tune, they've used different instruments, and they have plugged in a lot of flavors, different flavors. There's a Punjabi flavor to it.
Even for the ceramic range, they used
ceramic pots.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they played it on the pot.
Yes, in fact, this is one of the parts that, how what they've done with the music. So that is also a part of the thing.
Experiment. That's a story.
Not only the storyline, the elements, the
That's why I'm saying ceramic pots দিয়ে করেছিল ওটা পুরো। দারুণ ওটা। It's a fantastic act. So this was just an observation.
True. Means, so with this, we come to an end of indeed a long session, but power-packed, I must say. A lot of variety in the papers that have been presented, but really intense, very intense. A real learning experience for all of us, I must say. I congratulate all the presenters and look forward to excellent papers that are going to be published. So with this, all my best wishes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone. I now invite Professor Arindam Basu to come and felicitate Sir Sanjay Sengupta, sir. I'm sorry, sir.